So last time I found out that it's not that easy to share this recording here. It's somewhere shared in the group automatically, but it's uncut, and there's again some echo. I don't know why. And so that means there will be a cut version quite fast after this meeting, and then I put it into the feed and give it a tag, and it can be found there also. And the other one is also somewhere to be found, but there's always this intro where I look how pretty I am and my locks are in the right direction, and so you can look at this also if you want. Bernd private life, struggling with the computer and his hairs. Okay, good. So officially welcome. This is where the cropped version starts. And I don't know why this is always moving around. You see the same? Yeah. I don't know. Let's see whether I'm shut up, whether it's not moving around. And there's still some echo, but doesn't matter for me. Good. Okay, so let's start. Welcome. And great you're here. And a new topic. No general discussion, or we can edit. But I think the Module 5 topic of skill development is not so much new details. So that's let's see. Dani, I just tried to mute something on your side and see whether okay, now the echo is gone. Okay, so you're always invited to unmute yourself. It was just for my concentration and focus. Good. Okay, so the topic of today is Module 5, the last module of this basic modules, and it's all about skill development. And I would like to tell something on this parts, natural ground movement and natural skill development, human movement restoration, human movement academy. It's all a bit confusing, but that's the word. This is how it is. It's just contemporary trend. And but let me explain this, because I know I'm already getting the first version of the new trainer certification into Circle, and I always or a lot of have confrontation with this NSD and NGM thing, and just once that you are clear about it. This trainer certification as well as the coach certification, which is then the next thing where you or for or in any way, but I just structured it anew, so to make it more or less topics at once and easier to follow. The trainer certification is just until MSP, mobility stability pattern thing, as the most complicated thing, including conditional factors and including the biomechanics, and that's it. It should be just here for being able to teach from the existing database sessions group classes. So this should make it very uncomplicated about the philosophy and the science behind it. But you have always the access to all the existing material, the version 1 on Ablefy, and also for the forthcoming trainer certification and coach certification, and whatever comes additionally. But just to let you know, just for being more streamlined, more simple, and more but this is part for those and this is part for those. Digest this, and then you're open for new food on that side. And in this course, I get the problems also with the structure, but again, it is a natural structure. That means we have no hard cut between one system and the next system. It's an overlapping. It's a fluent interaction. And so this trainer certification and also the first part of the coach certification will mostly deal on the natural ground movements. But there is also module 5, which is the topic today, already is getting a bit into the natural skill development. Yeah, and there will be also then the next, let's say, building block on top of it will be natural skill development as its own practice, still connected to the natural ground movements, but it's not this basic stuff that is now covered in the natural ground movement thing. Module 5, you will see it's not 100% on the niveau of a MoveNet level 1, but it's actually most of level 1 stuff. And if we go for level 2 stuff, which is MoveNet's structure, which makes sense, not 100%, but 90%. This will be then the pure, or the emphasis is then on the natural skill development, and the sideshow is a bit the natural ground movement thing. The natural ground movements are just the supplements the skill development needs. Okay, so natural ground movements with the supplement from higher ground, natural skill development is the trainer thing or the level 1 thing. Something like a level 2 will be in the natural skill development, still connected to the natural ground movements. And a level 3 would be something like, we will call it advanced movement patterns or something like this. And this will then include higher stuff, which is already disconnected to the ground, like a front vault and a power up or combinations of stuff that cannot live alone from the ground movements. They have already disconnected from the ground movements and have their own dynamics because they are really, really high performance stuff. And this will come later. Yeah. But just to let you know, it's not like until here it's ground movements, now it's skill development, and then comes the skill and the physiotherapy stuff. It's all a bit overlapping. That's the nature of the thing. Everything is interconnected. Okay, so this for the terminology. And now I do my screen share and don't have this endless mirroring, hopefully, again. Don't show this again. Okay, no infinite mirroring. Still infinite mirroring. Infinite mirroring. The possibilities are endless. Okay, give me this. I don't know how to get out of this. Freigabe beenden. Okay, let me try it again. Let's try something different. And see, great. So nobody has this decisive hint, right? So I share it again. Okay, so it looks like I have to share really just one window and hope this works. No, it doesn't. No, I don't know why. Elista, do you have an idea about this? This is really strange.
No.
There is one possibility to ausblenden. I don't know where the problem is, and I don't know what happened last time to make it stop. So you should see my mirrors, my screen somehow. Okay, Chrome tab. I cannot use a Chrome tab. I need to use the whole. Anke, sorry for this. Okay, you see my whole mirror, my whole screen. You see also the HMR ginkgo leaf. Yeah. Okay. Then let's have it like this. Compromise. That makes also sense. Okay. So I would like to show you this depiction of the two systems, or one system, or three system, whatever you like. Yeah. So actually, we can part the whole story into three things that can stand alone. One is the natural ground movement part. It's the vertical lower part with the developmental milestones. One is the get up, which can also have its own life. And there are the higher skills, which can have their own life because MoveNet made a living out of it. So it should work, just to focus on the higher stuff. Okay, but we always start on the ground, or if we go for the higher stuff, we include the ground for warm up or for specific conditioning. Yeah. Okay, so how to read this? Once again, I don't know whether you have ever taken a longer look on this, but I will make it more simple. I will get this KFs and PTS out of it. Just maybe for the coaching, I can bring this in. But we have at the bottom the vertical part, natural ground movements, and this is parted in 6 stages, which started lying until standing, and this is representing the developmental milestones. We have these little dots on this vertical lines in it. Sorry, horizontal lines in it. These little dots. These little dots just should show you that there are specific techniques in it. So in lying, we have 3 possibilities. One is prone lying, one is side lying, one is supine lying. These dots are representing that there is some different positions that can be separated from each with different possibilities. And here it's these 3 positions. In creeping, it's about the same. We have in shoulders, supine lying, we have the shoulder creep, the shoulder crawl is called in MoveNet. We call it shoulder creeping. There is in prone lying, there is a push-pull crawl, it's called. In side lying, there are some shrimps movement called in BJJ or mixed martial arts, but we have our own terminology. But this is what the creeping part is, and the little dots. It's just different techniques that are possible in the creeping dimension. The same for sitting, the same for crawling, the same for kneeling, the same for standing. One information that maybe, because I make this depiction, which could be interesting to put in, is that the developmental and the natural ground movements is actually like a raute, like a diamond shape, that there is not so much possibilities in lying and creeping. Then there is sitting, has a lot of different possibilities. And then we come kneeling and standing again, where the possibilities are shrinking. And if you take this into account, then you know about the importance of what to work on. Yeah, so the most important part is actually the sitting, or the transitions from sitting to kneeling. There are the most possibilities. There are the most variability. This is the richest stuff in the ground movements. It's always great if we have one system, and in this system there is the most important one. This gives you always a nice structure. So this could be depicted in the next depiction. Then we have the get up. In the next position, there will be vertical lines, sections in the get up, and show you the most important get ups we are working on. Tripod get up, push knee hand get up, side bend sit get up, leg hop. I'm not sure whether I just take the first 6 that is already shared in module 4, or I take one from the waiting 6 or I don't know, 10 more, and just put a selection in it to have an idea. Okay, the get-ups has different techniques, and those techniques are summing up everything which was beneath, and also preparing everything which comes above. And above now we have the natural skill development, And this is a bit of more complicated thing. First of all, it's a horizontal relationship with the background that children that are able to, we have no children that are just focusing on getting up from the ground. And if they done this, they are allowed or have the whatever green card from nature to now you can pick up a ball and start throwing. It's also overlapping. And that's with the whole skills above. They are not necessarily in the relationship of a hierarchical relationship. Crawling is feeding into balancing, and balancing is feeding into walking, and walking is feeding into lifting. This would be a vertical hierarchy, which was used by MoveNet. This is also here, but we have a bit more important. And it's more important because it's the variability again that we have a horizontal relationship. That means that when children start to have possibilities, they use the possibilities or this physical precondition, like standing up from the ground. Then they not just go running, but they do everything that is possible now in this new dimension of running or standing. And this can be a bit of a little jump. This can be a bit of a throw. This can be whatever experimentation with all the new possibilities. And this is not in a hierarchical, vertical way. This is in a horizontal, more equal way. Yeah. So this is the child's development, and then, or combined with that, we go into the growing of this skill, and this is then vertically again. So, for example, within the crawling, we have techniques that are easier, like the knee-hand crawl, and techniques that are very difficult, like a low foot-hand crawl, for example, or the foot-hand crawling in itself is actually the end of the crawling skill in an efficient way. Yeah, if you go down then, like the lizard crawl, Ido Portal, it has a conditioning effect, but from a practical, natural effect makes absolutely no sense, because too much of a good in strength, you don't come very far. And nobody then a lizard is doing this in nature. Okay, in this relationship of verticality, we have in all the skills. And the crazy thing is, the higher the skills get, the more variations there are. In vaulting, I know about 25 different variations. In climbing, we have about 20 different variations. In jumping, there are just 5 different variations, basic variations. And what is basic and what is not basic is also not easy to say. Okay, the tripod vault, for example, is the most basic vault because 80% of the other vaults are a direct progression out of this. 2 vaults like the front vault and the inverted vault have a bit of a different stories, but this is what is growing in the parallelity of the skill developments. So if you find one skill within a skill domain like vaulting, which is not covered by any other vault, there's no conditioning before that was this completely resembling this movement, but you feel this this movement anywhere else, then you know it has a parallel relationship and not a vertical relationship where it's coming from. And this is good for you to know, because if you want to prepare somebody for tripod vault, and for example, and you don't have a jumping movement that is directly connected, and there is no climbing movement that is directly connected that can be used as a warm-up or whatever, then you just think about, where did we have a tripod vault, or where are the stuff from the tripod vault? So that's in the ground movements itself, that's in the get up, that's in crawling, transitioning from prone to supine. So there's a lot of stuff where you can have this little isolated island being fed progressively from the rest of the world, and not directly on the island itself to be found. So that means there is no universal structure in it. It's a combination of 2 structures. And this is again a big help for the one who knows how to handle it. And it's a confusion for the one who cannot handle it that easily. But this is the task of the new curriculum, to make this much easier to access and also keep a lot of informations you already have at home. Don't talk about it until the question or the problem is arising. Maybe that's better. Okay, so any questions on this depiction? So as you said, this little dots on the skills just show you the variations in the skill, as well as the possibility to progress within the variations, from knee hand to knee elbow crawl to foot to knee hand crawl. There are about 3 or 4 different progressions in the crawling itself. In the inverted crawl, there's not so much. There's just a shoulder crawl, there's an inverted crawl, and you go for an inverted elbow crawl, and that's it. There's just 3 verticals. Hey, hi Hubert. Just to say a quick to our new team member. Great. Okay, Hubert, if you have any questions, just use the lift your hand button or whatever. Make some crazy movements. I will see you. So, any questions on this? 3,
No.
2, 1. Next. Good. Okay, then I wanted, Hubert, just to let you know, this is a bit of a strange screen sharing. That's due to the fact that whenever I do a real screen sharing, then you see I've got this endless mirror stuff. Last time, accidentally, I got rid of it. This time, I was not able to have this luck. So, but it works. Good. So, what I would like to show you is the big database plan on the. Yeah, it shows up on the Module 5 skill development. So what I would like to show you is, how does this happen? How do I get to planning such a big thing? Again, new information for the ones that are just being able to do the trainer certification. The construction of sessions is not part of it. So you have the free will. Yeah? You are part of everything, the beta testers now. So this can also apply to you, or should apply to you. How do I construct a session? And so the difference between constructing, I make it a bit bigger for Alistair is looking that close. Is it too big? It's just one session, right? Okay, so for the ground movements, you can have the goal, which I feel a bit unrealistic for most of people, is except for people where a get up is actually the most important stuff. This maybe not apply to a 25-year-old parkour runner, for example, somebody who is already quite versatile, very skilled. They like skateboarders also, they fall down to the ground and stand up, so it's part of their job. We have people that need ground ups as life insurance. This, let's say, it was a few years ago 50 plus, but it's the age where this is necessary is actually getting lower and lower due to the sitting rising test. The sitting rising test found out that also young people already have big problems standing up from the ground. So this is your decision as a trainer, and also this is the maybe the wish of the person, or this is a combination of what do you want to do. I don't know, and you say, I have something, and then you make a bit of a diplomatic interaction, and then you find out, the get-ups are quite perfect for you. And the get-ups can be the end story of the ground movements. So that means if you have a goal like a get-up, it's very easy to break this get-up down and take the elements of this breakdown and build it up anew as a training program for the get up. So goal, reconstruct it, gives the trainings plan for the goal. Okay, deconstruction, reconstruction. Deconstruction, different reconstruction, more complicated, more on point. In the get up part itself, I think it's more the conditional factors that are necessary, that are great to take as emphasized. So it's not like you need to be in a deep squat. This is your goal. You can say we can improve your deep squat, but with you need to be in a deep squat, we should be a bit careful, but because it's really crystallizing out that not every human is able to do a deep squat. And we should not force people into something they are anatomically not able to. So just to make a statement about this, but there is also let's say a deep squat variation. Everybody should be able, like a squatting down to lift something up, but it's not necessary to go down and sleep in this position. This is just a natural mover, aristocratic present. Yeah. Okay. So in the ground movements, you focus more like on conditional factors, I would say, just as a rule of thumb. Yeah, but you can also say, I would like to have a side bend sit as a goal because he had a hip problem and now it's a super imbalance between both hip sides. And my first goal is the side bend sit. You break it down, and the goal then for reconstructing it is the side bend sit. But it's not the optimal thing. The optimal thing would be lack of mobility. Okay, let's go for all of the mobility stuff and add on the MSP philosophy to not have it too isolated. So, and this is already the approach we are now applying in the skill development. So it makes not that if you don't have a goal, you don't know where to go. Right? That's another rule of life. So if your goal is a specific, it's like your client or yourself, you want to learn a new skill like clean or lapping, then you take the lapping as your goal, and now you go for breaking it down into its pieces and bits within the skill part as well as deeper into the ground movements part. And this depends on your how much different exercises you want, how much sessions it should come out. You have this client for a year, or you want to take yourself a year into this challenge, or it's just one session. That depends on the choice of exercises. Okay, and what I wanted to do is just pick one session and see what was the goal, and see how this was built up. So I just take session 2 of the walking, for example. And in the walking, so you can expect that at the end of the session, you will find the actual goal for the session. Yeah? And the goal was loaded walking with the stuff we already experienced in session 1, which was stepping under, stepping over was already part of the hip, will become part of the hip because of the hip hinge, and is part of the ankles because of the stepping under on the mobility front of the ankle, and stepping over on the stability front of the ankle. I hope that's clear. Stepping over is ankle stability, and stepping under is ankle mobility. Yeah. Okay, so forward walking, upward stick throwing. This is also part of challenge. So this is a complication, complex stuff to see whether you can do two things at once. Yeah. So as you see, the topic of this session was stepping over, stepping under. This is why you find this in the final 2 blocks. Okay, and when we go backwards now, so let's go into these 3 exercises. you see that before you stepping under with your self-observation skill you already learned without a stick, without context, because these are all without context. You use the stick to feel where your what your spine is doing while your hip is hinging, right? So this is a perception drill. This one. The next one, upright stance, forward body weight shift to soft extended split stance, 3P. So maybe I'll make it a bit easier and show you the move. Yeah, right. So this has, in my perception, a lot to do with stepping under as well as stepping over. It's all a thing of how do I see the exercise and how do I interpret what is happening in the exercise. That means generally that it is your experience or a matter of your expertise what exercises you choose. Right? So I've chosen this one. And all of these exercises just give you an idea of exercises that are prone to this skill or not prone at all to this skill. And I hope you're still clear about this layering we were talking about. This word layering, functional layering is great because it comes up actually in any planning. Hubert, you may never heard about this functional layering. It's part of the circle community feed thread. You should find it under the tag. I don't know. Let's say it, maybe training planning. But layering again. What we talk about here is layer number 2, which is the choice of the movements that should be part of your plan. Yeah, the choice of the movements. That means everything that has to do with a hip hinge, with a single leg balance, with a sideways stepping stuff is all directly related to stepping over and stepping under. Cannot be closer as the stepping under or over again, as well as doing the same movement without context or context is also progressions. Doing the movement with a stick in your back, it's also progressions, complications, but the same movement. And so this is the match between your goal and the perfect movements for it, the perfect positions and transitions. That's the second layer. The first layer was just what movement kind I'm choosing, stepping over, stepping under. Second layer is taking a choice of the perfect movements for it. The third layer is that I find out by myself how much can I do from this perfect progression. Can I do the whole movement like in a stepping under with a stick in your back? Can I go down that my stick is getting vertically, or do I just reach 45 degrees? Then okay, 45 degrees is my maximum. This is my layer 3 of the perfect exercise just to this range of motion. And the fourth layer is then that I start to mentally focus on the exercise itself. That means if I have no more exercises that are directly connected to this goal, I take a different exercise where I can use my mental focus to make it again a stepping over, stepping under exercise. Because in this movement, I'm focusing on that part or that conditional factor that is then again be seen in the stepping under or stepping over. Okay? So the upright stance, forward body weight shift to soft split standing has this getting down like in a sideways stepping under. So it is already the ankle mobility in it. It has single leg stance element in it. The only difference is that it's not sideways, it's forward. It had also a very soft building up of points of contact when I'm stepping. So it's almost the same, just in a different direction, a direction that maybe is easier for the people, or it has more conditional possibilities. Stepping forward is more difficult condition-wise than stepping under, but it can be used as a progression for the stepping under because it has some elements that are the same. Conscious walking was something that I added in all the walking sessions. There is a walking drill. One is forward, one is backward, one is sideward, one is blind. And in this third block, that is already the last one before the actual goal techniques come, I put in the conscious walking skill for just the soft foot landing. I just took this to have the soft foot landing. I need in the next exercise, and I need in stepping over and stepping under. It's a perception drill of one part of the goal movement. Okay, so this is how this 3 happened. And what you can do now with this 3 is to bring them in a specific order. Within this block, you can say, okay, 3 exercises can be put into a progression, like the developmental milestones, if this makes sense. Yeah. In this case, I didn't. Because they're all upright, there is no, not, if there would be one in lying and one in kneeling and one in standing, then it's obvious. But these are 3 exercises in standing, so you can just put them like parallel. And stepping under is in the same way a natural practical movement as walking consciously. So there's no need to prioritize one. Okay, so this is how this 3, they already quite close to the target exercise. Block number 2, for example. So we have an inline, forward, backward, feet, hand, crawl. Show you this. Okay, inline without context. That means inline is the without context. With context, it would be balancing. Yeah. So why did I choose it? That's always a good question, because I built this workout about a year ago, and a year later you can see things differently. But okay, the foot hand crawl in itself, this contralateral connection of upper and lower extremities through the center of gravity, this contralateral pattern is very important for walking. It is the precondition for walking. And it gives stability in alignment, whole body stability of the spine. And this was important for me to be in front of everything which is now getting into an upright stance position. So everything that is working on stability is great for putting it as a warm-up or a pre-session before standing upright and do some standing or walking. Backward inverted crawl I used because we have so much forward-orientated stuff in it, with arms, shoulders falling forward. Also, with this exercise, we have already a bit of an opening for this stick hold. You need the opening of the chest, and this is just one detail. I used the inverted crawl because it's covering the contralateral pattern, and it's covering through the pull of the heels. You can cover a bit the lift of the legs. It's a perception drill. And you also have a chest opening because you have to bring your hands backwards. It's a bit of a mobility exercise for the stick hold position in the end. Yeah, this was my choice. And you always have to take into respect that also I had to structure not just vertically, but also 4 sessions horizontally, that depending on the amount of exercises in the database, you don't want doubles. So some exercises are a bit strange there, but this is your possibility to interpret something into it which is necessary, like a conditional factor, and then it fits again perfectly into the sequence. Okay, the first one here was the prone lying hand supported front knee tuck to side bend sit. Okay, so just to get clear, this is prone lying hand press up. This is the name of this position. I just made it a bit smaller, so it's prone lying, hand supported, front knee tuck to side bend sit. So this is actually already back here already 3 positions. Yeah. Hand press up, one knee tuck under can be its own position if you like, and one side bend sit. Okay, what I'm looking for here was back to the database. Well, I took this exercise because I wanted to build up spine stability. That means when it looks like a mobility exercise, this press up, but you would never be able to press up. Your spine would tell you with pain if there is not a lot of stability in it, which is protecting the spine and allowing to overextend it. And this reflexive or this tension, your spine is needs to be aligned and also to react on something like lifting one knee up in a stepping over is trained here. The knee tuck is the stepping over movement of the knee just in a horizontal position. Yeah? Is this obvious? That the stepping over is actually almost the same exercise as this one. It's hard for a beginner to see, but actually it's the same, just vertically or horizontally switched. Yeah? So it's a perfect example for a stepping over warm-up exercise. Yeah, you may have never known, but this is why we are talking about. And this should give you the possibility to think about it's not always the direct thing you see. It's my analytics that how I can break down this exercise and how I know exercises work, that I can have a big array of movements that help me to train another one. Alistair.
Yeah, I just have a question. So here you're calling it a prone lying hand supported front knee tuck. It's a side bend sit. How is it different from a press up? Like, why did you choose to call it hand supported as to calling it a press up?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure. These are the terminologies. This terminology is from a year ago, and in between a lot of stuff happened, because the press up can also express a movement. It's like a push up, and if I want a static start, I'm not sure whether I should use the press up because it sounds a bit dynamic then.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it would be better to use the press up, because this is actually what you do there. It's a static press up. It's not a movement, but it's a static pressing yourself up. It would fit anyway. But
So I guess
great.
Does it depend more on the focus? Like
Yeah.
here, the focus doesn't seem to be so much about the press up.
Right.
Is that why you chose to call it just hand supported? Because it's not so much about the pressing.
Could be. I will not say that I intentionally call it like this, and now I think it different. It was just a different thinking, and this makes also the problem a bit obvious, that if you are giving a movement a name or a position a name, it's quite difficult to make it not false. That the static name is actually also interpreted dynamically and the other way around. But I think it would be really like a prone lying. Now, if it would be a prone lying hands press up, it would be the movement. If it's a prone lying hand supported, I'm not sure about this. It would be a prone lying press up position. This maybe would be this is why I use the position thing. This would give the information of static. So we could use this prone lying, hand supported press up position. And then it's bulletproof. Okay? Somewhere like this. But we were all talking about there is maybe the perfect form to express the movements with words, and which then also is the title of this position or transition. But I think we should be. It's really super okay if you have a, let's say, 80% or 50% of this knowledge, and you just apply it in your own words. This is nothing that is needed to be carved in stone, because it makes no sense. Yeah, but if you are leading somebody through a movement, which is possible just with words, then you may also add the press up, because the person otherwise don't know what you really mean. Okay, so let this a bit relative and adaptive, and not carve it into stone. I think 80% is quite fixed, and 20% leave it open for your improvisation arts. Okay, or we find something perfectly in the meantime. I'm also open for this. Okay, first part, as you see, super simple and super basic stuff. It's just the kneeling ankle mobility, where you have a bit of a kneeling flexion mobility and the ankle. If the proprioception, the mobility of the ankles, is enhanced through a nice warm-up mobility, the stability that comes later in the stepping under, stepping over should be better prepared, just because of the sensory input that is increasing when you work on mobilization of a joint. Okay, and this is the most important in this movement. There's also the hip mobility then, but the hip mobility is covered later. So pine lying, sideways, reaching, rolling. You know this also, the classic one. Also, just the knowledge of people that are interested in or like this stuff. This side rolling is actually the beginning of the contralateral movement, and it's the beginning of the coinage of your stance leg and your play leg. This I just have this information from Gray Cook. It's his observation. I don't know whether this is also anybody else had an opinion about it or interpreted anything into it after this guy. But they observed that a child is not deciding and is not repeating. A child is doing it into one direction because it has something in it that tells it, this is the direction that is more safe for me. Nobody knows, but there's something of a predecision in a child that tells him you start rolling in this side and not in this side. There's something. Whether it's a right-handedness that is also already growing in it, or it's because one body part is heavier because there is more liver on one side than on the other side, or whatever. But with everybody is the same. But these are the little factors that can decide in what direction you roll. And this observation from Gray Cook was that the leg you roll over, or the little child is rolling over, will become the stance leg later. And the stance leg can decide over your dominant hand. Right? So this is a chain reaction. And nobody knows who is deciding the start of this chain reaction. Is the brain that says, I want to be right-handed, this is why I have the left stance leg, and this is why I turn against the clock firstly, or nobody knows. We just can observe and say if somebody has a stance leg dominant is unbalanced. Everything that has to do with jumping, with balancing, with walking is asymmetric. And this is why we work on symmetry. This is why you can find out your asymmetries in the side roll, and you can counteract by doing the other round, the other direction more often. Okay, and the effect should be that crawling is becoming more stable, and walking and running and climbing and throwing. It's all contralateral patterns. Okay, so this is why the side roll is always a necessity whenever you have crawling, walking, running, throwing, vaulting for example, and lifting, one-sided lifting. Good. And the number 3 here was upright stand, bouncing, closed eyes. Yeah, there was a question of somebody, why do you use bouncing? I used bouncing already in the first phase of the biomechanics in module 2. This was the alignment exercise was bounce on the forefeet like rope skipping, where you find out that this movement alone is giving you an upright alignment. Nobody does this movement bent. In a bent spine or in a bent hip. It does not work. And somebody who has a very bent hip or spine, and you tell him, would you show me some rope skipping? He will mostly say, no, no, I don't do this. And why is saying this? Because a movement is embodied. This is a very nice thing out of this book, How We Learn to Move. Your subconsciousness is deciding on what you do according to your possibilities. And if somebody is saying, I don't do rope skipping, and he cannot give you any reason, then you know, okay, his nervous system doesn't want him to do this because he will destroy himself when he's doing this. This is called embodied movement. This is very interesting because every movement decision is done unconsciously, which then tells you, I can or I cannot. Yeah? I don't take the stairs, that's too high, I see that immediately, I take the escalator. And this is not a decision, this is you go there and you are driving into the escalator because your subconsciousness tells you, no, you will die on this flight of stairs. You get a heart attack or you break your neck. Take the escalator, that's better for you. This is very interesting, especially in this bouncing thing, because if you're not able to stand upright, you should not bounce, because all the bouncing, the vertical pressure on the vertebrae or on the joint sockets will cause a risk of damage if you're not completely aligned. This is why people can say, don't do this at the beginning of a program, because it's much too much for your ankles and much too much for your spine. I'm more the type of guy who says, okay, let's try this. Let's tell this guy or yourself, do it, then see the first reaction, then you have already some assessment of him. And when he's doing it, even if his mind tells him don't do it, then it's quite courageous. He's willing to learn and motivated. And if he does it, you may see that it was just an anxiety. It is actually not that bad. Yeah, so he should be more confident in doing stuff before saying, no, I don't, I fear it because I know I cannot do it. So it's always good to show somebody a higher movement and see his reaction on it. Could be a possibility to find out his character. Yeah, but the bouncing, as said, is giving you a possibility to experience or perceive your alignment of an upright stance. And it is, I took the closed eyes because it makes it more interesting. And it's also interesting if you take the closed eyes and then do bouncing for 20 seconds and see how you move in this bouncing. So the ideal, perfect human would stay on spot. And if there are some asymmetries in the hip or in the spine, that means there's a little bit of a leaning to one side. The bouncing will drive you off your base of support. Okay, and this would give you also an information of asymmetries or dysfunctions, which then can be built into a session for this person. Or you use an exercise like this always as test. every exercise is a test. Yeah, do it once, not possible. Okay, leave it by the side. Do other stuff that is related, as we said, in layer 2 or layer 3 or layer 4. The same, different exercise with the same topics, different exercise with a different with a mental focus, and then let him come back to this exercise, like this bouncing, and see what happened. If it's getting worse, your strategy is bad. If it stayed the same, your strategy or the choice of the movements is not very helpful. And if there is some improvement, that you say that you know you're on the correct road. This is a good strategy. Let's go on until no further improvement, and then you can think about changing the plan. Okay, so this should have been reconstruction of one of the natural skill development sessions. And as said, this part here is the basic part that's starting me to think about what do I need for preparing this. The later part is more like a challenge. Yeah, I just put in everything what was done before, just put a load on it, make it a bit more complex, or even maybe something, a movement that was not happening before. It was already covered somehow, but you take a movement that is not done before, which shows you how adaptable is this person, or the challenge is to adapt from what you know to something new. And the stuff that comes before, we talked about a bit of isolation. So at the first part here, that's a bit isolated ankle mobility, isolated contralateral stability with a roll, and isolated an alignment exercise. So this could be branded as isolated exercises, perception drills, and then it gets more integrated, and that it becomes more applicated. Like now you do the movement, the same exact goal movement, but with a stick in the back can be already applicated with a little constraint or complication. So this is how this develops. And I said, if I would tell you, please construct a session where the goal is the stepping over, stepping under, then I would never expect that you make a 100% the same exercise. It can be 20%, but then it depends on what you are interpreting into it and how realistic it is that your interpretation can be done by the client or by yourself, and whether it's the correct interpretation of the movement. This is you can do whatever you want, but you need to know what you're doing, and not just putting them somewhere, shaking it, and then spelling it out and let them do them. There can be and should be a structure in it. Anke, yeah, please.
I just have a understanding question. Like bouncing is lifting from the floor, or it's only standing on the floor and moving?
That's both correct. Actually, I see bouncing as really rope skipping with a very little flight phase.
You see it like this, little lifting.
Yeah, right. But you could regress it, and then you keep the balls on the ground, and you just move the heels up and down.
Okay. And the other question, what do you mean with inline, forward? You said the difference between inline, feet, hand crawl, and the other one?
Balancing.
Inline?
Balancing.
And
on a beam.
On a beam. Okay.
Yeah.
Inline is only on the floor.
That's also something a bit with the terminology. If I want to have it with a context, that means with a 2x4, then I use more the balancing term to put it in. And if not, if it's just on flat ground and the balancing is imaginary, then I use it as an inline. That's also easier to talk about. Otherwise, you would say balance without beam. In a term of an exercise, this is not pretty.
Okay.
right? But also not that important. Yeah, but with this bouncing, this is a very interesting thing. We cannot give everything a name. There needs to be room for improvement. And if you say bouncing, is it close to, then no or yes. Yeah, and something like a calf lift. You know, exercise out of fitness training where you just stand on both feet and you just lift your heels as high up as possible, like in a toe stance, it's called, and then come down again, would be almost the same as bouncing. Yeah, but it has a rest on the ground and it has a maximum contraction of the calves. Yeah, and this would be more like a strength exercise for the calf muscles, as well as a mobility exercise for fully extension of the ankle. And if you would do bouncing is not a mobility exercise. It is not a strength exercise. It's actually a stability and elasticity exercise. Yeah, right. And this is the fantastic thing. This is hopefully nothing will say, oh God, it's so complicated. It's more like, wow, okay, there's about the same two exercises with completely different conditional possibilities. And this is fantastic. Because the conditional possibilities are endless. It's just that you know them about. When you look at one exercise, you should be able to say, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. I don't need all this happening. I desperately looking for strength. And then you should be able to say from everything that is going on here, this part is a strength part. And if I apply this mentally focused, there will definitely happen a strength improvement, because this is how our brain and body connection works. You can even do something without looking like. Yeah. But this is already quite fine-tuning stuff. It's really important that you get the rough pictures, and this is that you know a side bend sit is primarily a hip mobility exercise. It is asymmetric. When I move my foot in the back, extend it or flex it, it has a bit more impression on the knee and a little bit more impression on the hip. My spine, if it's upright, it's alignment, it's stability. So these are a bit the rough stuff. But if you say a side bend sit should be a flexibility exercise or let's say elasticity exercise, can give me somebody an answer? Could you make the side bend sit an elasticity exercise?
Yeah, I think you could bounce a little in this.
Yeah, voila. Right, that's simple. And if it's an elasticity exercise, you can use it for everything that has to do with elasticity. For example, you use it for running, you use it for jumping, because this elasticity in the spine, in the hip, is already addressed a little bit. And if it's not like in running in a aligned position, it's addressed in a side abduction position. Doesn't matter. It's elasticity, and this is an information to your brain of I working on hip elasticity, and you are already a bit of prepared then for a jumping movement, because you just have mind, there is elasticity, and my hip now also needs elasticity, and this gives your mind immediately the information. He knows what to do. I'm very satisfied, and it gives me a bit of a safety if he knows what to do. This makes the exercise much more efficient if he knows what he's doing. Right? So I completely understand your confusion, but as Wendy said two times ago, it's a matter of practice, and there's no way to go through this system without practice. That's completely different to if you work in a fitness studio with machines. Yeah, you don't need any practice. You need a weekend of somebody's explaining you how to make the adjustments in the machine. That's it. But the result is also minimum positive and risky latent. Yeah. And we have here risky is little and the effect is immense because you're fully engaged. Yeah. So this complexity needs to be kept a bit under control, but it can grow when you just start practicing. Okay, so this looks like almost point landing on 60 minutes. And if you don't have any more questions, then Ivan, sorry,
Yes,
it was too shy.
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned a book about how to move. Which one is that? Which book is that?
What I showed?
Yes, because I didn't see.
Yeah, let's do it. I wanted to start a bit of posting books into the feed. I will make a picture and post it into the feed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, is it great? So then we also have two flies with one clap. Alistair?
Sorry, I meant to put a thumbs up and I didn't get the right icon. No, I like the idea of sharing books. Yeah, thank you.
Good. Yeah, let's go for this for general endeavor, sharing books. Not in an email which is vanishing, but in a feed where you can just use the tag books, and then you will have a lot of covers and and not just names and links. Great. Okay. Hey, I guess we are finished. I thank you very much for your attention. I hope a lot of stuff is clear now. Watch the recording if you have too much time. And let's meet next week, Tuesday, on Module 5 practice. I'm not that sure what will be different, except we will in a different room, and I try to make as much practice as possible. So just talking today, bit more practice next time, but I think we will recapitulate some stuff of this.
Thank
and
you.
think about some questions. Give me some questions, please, even if they are stupid. Have a great evening. See you.
See you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Bernd.
You're welcome.
Bye, guys.